point was in understanding loss of consciousness, especially when blood flow stops to the brain. We began to look at other events that humans go through, like cardiac arrest, sudden death episodes where an individual's heart stops or he has a rhythm disturbance that prevents blood flow from going to the brain. We were looking at what scientists were doing over in those areas. And we began to see that individuals that had sudden death, cardiac arrest, those kind of things, we began to see people reporting the experiences that those people had. And when we began to hear what individuals that had what were called near-death experiences were having these kind of experiences of dreams or being out of body or those kind of things, we really began to look at our information, and we said, boy, our folks are having a lot of the same symptoms that are being reported with sudden death and cardiac arrest. So we were really on track of a very hardcore traditional applied research medical program, and it just so happened that the information that we had from loss of conscious episodes was matching fairly closely the information we were getting from the literature in terms of sudden death, cardiac arrest, and near-death experiences. So we thought it would be interesting to the general scientific community to hear what our experiences were in completely healthy people having blood flow stop to their brain, losing consciousness, returning blood flow, consciousness returning. We thought that would be at least a slice of information that might help individuals that are investigating near-death experiences might be interested in. I think, as a traditional scientist, I think what our experiments really do is really lend tremendous credibility to what individuals that are having near-death experiences are saying. You really need to listen carefully, because our results suggest, incidentally, coming late on the scene, that what these individuals are experiencing are reported very accurately. So I think our experiments really lend a lot of credibility to that. I don't think our experiments give the final answer. I think they give you a lot of insight into probably what's going on in the brain, but boy, and there are things that our experiments don't show. So you have to listen to those individuals that have had even more traumatic insults of embarrassment of blood flow to their brain. They may well be experiencing things that we don't have, but the things that we're seeing certainly lends a lot of credibility to listen to what things they experience that we don't, that may truly give you insight into spiritual and other understandings of life and death and what we're all about.
Research proves that near-death experience is legitimate. Nearly 12 to 15 million Americans have had NDE experiences. This is such an enormous number of shared experiences that so greatly affects their lives that no matter what the cause of NDE, no matter what your ideas about why it occurs, there is no question that given the number of lives that it has impacted, it makes sense to study it. It's an incredible phenomenon, and again the implications are enormous. But what spiritual importance has NDE to us, who must face the last final frontier one day?
But in terms of spiritual importance, near-death experiences have clear spiritual importance. People often regard themselves as having changed their life entirely as a result of the joyful experiences they have near-death. And even in negative near-death experiences where people have trips that are hellish, people often report life-changing events. And arguably, even if it were brain chemical changes that were responsible for the actual near-death experience, and therefore it's a hallucination, the consequences could still be spiritual for someone.
For mankind, the NDE phenomenon holds a message. Death is reality, And according to research and those who have witnessed heaven and hell through NDE experiences, we must think about our own lives. We will die as we live.
What people are describing are very, very clear-cut, life-changing situations. Now, I think you mentioned you saw Ian McCormack, and when all's said and done, he's been travelling around the world for nearly 20 years. And he, like many, many of the others, recalls exactly what he saw, right to the very finest detail. And although he has been recounting his experience, and many others have as well, probably 2, 3, or even 4 times a week for all these years, you can look at old videotapes, and what they described hasn't changed at all. It simply hasn't changed. And in fact, this event is the single event in their lives that they remember most clearly, unlike hallucinations. The other thing, of course, that these are life-changing events. I've interviewed probably over 300 people who've had these experiences, and all of them have been dramatically changed. Their lives have been changed by these near-death experiences. You can't say that about hallucinations. Hallucinations simply aren't life-changing experiences, whereas near-death experiences, when you meet Jesus Christ and either see heaven or hell, they are dramatic, riveting, life-changing experiences, and almost invariably people's lives are dramatically altered as a result of these experiences. So personally, and also because of the fact that the near-death experience accounts are so remarkably similar not only to each other but also to the Bible, I personally believe that these are real events and people are describing real events.
Those people who have had near-death experiences, who have crossed the unknown final frontier, bring a clear message. Heaven and hell is a reality. More and more scientific evidence proves that life after death does exist. Eventually we will all die and have to cross the final frontier, either to heaven or to hell. But where we are going is a matter of choice.
Those who come to me will never be hungry. Those who believe in me will never be thirsty. Now I told you that you have seen me, but will not believe. Everyone whom my Father gives me will come to me. I will never turn away anyone who comes to me, because I have come down from heaven to do not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And it is the will of him who sent me that I should not lose any of all those he has given me, but that I should raise them all to life on the last day. For what my Father wants is that all who see the Son and believe in him should have eternal life. And I will raise them to life on the last day.